Vedanticam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sa Agrajatam Sahagana Raghunata Anpitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम् हरे कृष्णा प्रभु may I know who all devotees are there? I'm able to see 2 devotees in the video screen.
Only 2 devotees are here so far, Prasad.
Okay. Yes. Can you take their names? I am not able to see it very clearly.
Rishikesh Prabhu and myself and his brother is there, Krishna, who was there last time.
Achha. Yes, Hare Krishna. Wonderful. I also see some devotees online. Ajay Prabhu, Rishi Vishwamitra Prabhu.
Radha Gokulan Das Prabhuji.
Achha, this all Carter. I was just wondering. Okay. Radha Gokulanam Prabhu. Thank you very much for joining the session. So we will quickly recite the shlokas which we should memorize in this unit. All of you, please recite on the screen what is there. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Ishavasyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha Magridah Kasya Svidhanam. Those who are physically there, is my audio audible? BVRV office?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Rishikesh Prabhu, clear? Okay. Okay. Take it. So have one mic handy because we will keep reading as we always do in the session, and we'll learn that. Okay. So last time we had discussed about the mantra 2. We have already studied introduction and invocation. And mantra 2 we had begun. Mantra 1 we had completed last time. So mantra 2 is connected to mantra 1. So before going to mantra 2, it's important to at least revise some important aspects of mantra 1. The important thing is the Ishavasya principle. So the Ishavasya principle has 3 aspects in it. You know all this. Each of them are non-compromisable. All 3 are to be there. Not only one makes that Ishavasya principle or 2, but all 3 together make it. So when you're asked in your test or in any time future, what is the important learning you learn from Ishopanishad? It should be this principle. Yeah. Any comment, Prabhu? Am I audible? Someone
You're audible. Is it audible now from here?
Yeah, it's audible. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the Ishavasya principle is displayed on the screen. Please read. All of the 3 are important. Yes.
Ishavasya principle, Tattva. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things that are necessary for himself, which are set aside for his quota, and one should not accept other things,
knowing
other
well
things, knowing well to know who they belong to.
whom they belong. Correct. So each of them are very important. So we saw in this discussion on how everything is owned by Lord. Prabhupada proved it by showing Bhagavad Gita verses. How the Lord is the proprietor of everything. Then we saw what is the meaning of quota, how the quota is very naturally present in every species, in terms of their food, in terms of their place, what they possess, everything is present. And then how humans, that is all of us, we have taken possession of earth, claiming that it is ours. Actually, it belongs ultimately to Lord, and Lord has given for the living of many, not just one. Is it not? So there we saw the wrong type of living, the atheistic type of living in terms of capitalism, communism, all that we saw. And then, very importantly, practically, Prabhupada spoke about how quota is there in terms of food one eats. Human body is meant for vegetarian foods. Yes. And that is not sufficient. It is not just sufficient to just be vegetarian, but one should rise to Ishavasya principle, that is, recognize the proprietorship of Lord. So at the end of this whole chapter, there was one very important statement. We discussed a long on this statement. I have displayed it on the screen. Can someone read?
The root of sin is deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature, disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord, disobeying the laws of nature. And could you please just take that screen aside, because I'm not able to read. You need to close that, na?
Yeah.
I'll read it again, Prue.
Yes.
The root of sin is deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature, through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to the human being. Conversely, one who is a sober knows the laws of nature and is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion, is sure to be recognized by the Lord, and thus becomes eligible to go back to God.
So this was important statement, especially the definition of sin. Prabhupada points there. Root of sin. Please remember that statement. Deliberate disobedience of laws of nature through disregarding proprietorship. There is a lot which can be unpacked there. Anyway, then we proceeded to mantra 2. So mantra 1 and 2, in fact 3 also, are all connected. Any of you remember how?
Mantra 2 speaks about what are the things we should do, and regarding very much linked with mantra 1, and mantra 3 speaks about things which are not to be done, things which are to be forbidden.
Yeah. In another words, anyone else would like to add on to this? Yes, Prabhu is in that right direction, but little more specific.
Mantra 1 is the Isavasya principle, and mantra 2 is the Anvaya, the benefits of following the Isavasya principle.
Benefits.
And then mantra 3 comes at the Vyatireka law, which is the loss in which it is not loss in not following the.
Not following, correct. So please use the word benefit and loss, and technically this method of presentation is there in the Shastras. Anvaya Vyatireka. Any principle is always explained with Anvaya and Vyatireka. Then it becomes very solidly accepted by the hearer. Okay, so benefits of following. So we are studying the benefits of following. So mantra 2 is actually describing the benefits. In this, we actually saw, I think, 3 items, if I'm not wrong. The 3 points. We saw, okay, maybe we'll quickly go to that verse and then we will take it. Otherwise, it will be disconnected. So, mantra 2, we'll go to the translation. Yes, please read translation. Anybody online would like to read translation?
I'll read.
One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he
Yes.
continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man.
And so what is told here is one can live for long without bondage if one lives according to Ishavasya principle. Other ways of living, that is disregarding Ishavasya principle, will make one bind to the world. What does it mean, bind? What does it mean, following the Ishavasya? That will be the topic of purport. So in the beginning, Prabhupada explained about how the death is something which it happens to everyone. Nobody can avoid it. And nobody wants it also, is it not? Nobody wants to die and everyone wants to avoid it, but nobody can avoid it. So the fear of death is for everyone in this world. Only pure devotee is actually not afraid of death. So, but everyone in this world is afraid of death. And what is that which is making one die and take to another material body? That is called as karma bandhana. So in this regard, we saw 3 types of karma. I hope all of you recollect this. Very important concept we are coming into. So please tell me, what is the 3 types of karma? Karma, vikarma, akarma. Define them. Yeah. Define.
Karma means the actions, the prescribed duties which we do.
Okay.
Vikarma means vikarma means which are not to be done, which are forbidden. And
where it is forbidden?
Sorry?
Where it is told that it is forbidden?
In the Vedas, it is told that it is forbidden.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that would be explicit. Yes, wonderful. Continue.
And akarma means where activities which can take you beyond this cycle of birth and death.
Okay. So Prabhu is pointing, very nice, thanks. Karma means prescribed actions, that is actions told in the scriptures. Vikarma is actions against the scriptures. Is it not? Forbidden action, that another word. And akarma is interesting. Akarma is not inaction or laziness. No? It's not inaction. Actually, nobody can be inactive in this world. Everyone is doing something. Even if one is sitting idle, his mind is functioning, his body is functioning, and he will be impelled to act, even for one's living. So akarma actually means action which will not give reaction. That is, it will transcend one from this world. So when we say karma, it is giving reaction. But what type of reaction? Pious reaction. When we say vikarma, it is surely giving reaction. What type of reaction? In the similar lines.
It is not giving us good reactions. No? I mean, bad reactions are happening.
Bad reaction, yes. Karma is giving good reaction, punya. Vikarma is giving papa, sinful reaction. Is it not? Papa karma it is. And akarma doesn't give reaction. It is called non-reactive work. Okay. So what is actually akarma is important to know, because you see everything in this world reacts, but how this kind of activity doesn't react? Of course, in a simple words, we can say that is devotional service. But yes, it is important to understand why devotional service does not give karmic reaction. It does not yield karmic reaction. So before going to that, of these 3 types of action, intelligent people will choose a karma. That's the natural choice. Because nobody wants to be bound. We saw earlier, because of being bound only, we face death. And there is so much of fear because of that. So everyone wants to go for akarma. That's the intelligent choice. But how to go to that akarma? That is not easy. That's not as easy as we think. There is a detailed instruction on it. In Bhagavad Gita, the shlokas described here, 3.9 to 3.16. As we always have been seeing, Prabhupada always explains Ishopanishad purports through Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Introduction also clarified this. These are the most important Vedic literatures like that. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a concept called yoga ladder. Last time I had halted at this place, correct? Yoga ladder. So I had shown this diagram. Maybe I'll show that again. And then we will not discuss the whole of this ladder. We will only go up till karma yoga, nishkama or sakama. And that is only sufficient for this purport. The higher ones we will discuss when it is necessary. Okay. So what do you remember in our discussion on this yoga ladder? Anybody? Anyone? It starts from below, actually. It starts from animal life. So somebody please explain what each stage stands for. What is that which is different from its lower stage? All that you can explain. What do you remember?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, we started from animal life. That means a person is not aware of any of the things and he's situated in a platform of ignorance, total ignorance. Then when karma kanda comes,
So does this mean animal body?
sorry?
Does animal life mean animal body?
No, not animal body, but the behavior is not human.
Very good. That's very good point. Continue.
So in animal life that happens.
So when do we consider someone as human according to Vedic literature?
When someone is situated on a platform of self-realization.
Oh, really? That's too highest stage.
When one may be following the four rects and knowing about what to do and what not to do.
गोविंदासमध्ये बसून नको बोलू इथं ये.
Correct. Yes, as our Prabhu is Radha Gokulan Prabhu, no? I can't see his darshana in the video.
Yes, Prabhuji, Radha Gokulam.
Okay, yeah. So, very good point. When one knows what to do and what not to do, and where that is told, that is scripture. So, human being becomes a human being when he starts to follow Vedic literature. Otherwise, he is animalistic. That's animal life. Okay, what happens in Karma Kanda, Prabhu? Continue. Let's continue. Otherwise, we'll take time in revision only. Okay. What happens in animal life?
So actually, I had a question. I mean, if he's started following the Vedic path, then he's definitely on the path of self-realization now. So then we can.
But he has not achieved it, right?
Yes.
He has not attained. So that way we are telling that is little more advanced stage. In fact, that happens, when Nishkam Karma. That's when he attains self-realization. Technical. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, what happens in Karma Kanda? Please explain. Anyone?
In Karma Kanda, we start worshipping for gaining some fruitful activities. I mean, for our own desires, to fulfill our desires, we start worshipping demigod like that.
Yeah. Demigod may or may not be, but specifically sacrifices are there.
Yes.
Karma Kanda has rituals. So, to fulfill one's selfish desire, one accepts Vedic path, Vedic literatures. Okay. So, the focus or the goal of one's life in the Karma Kanda stage, what is that? What is the goal of one's life in Karma Kanda stage? It is to gain happiness in this world. But what is the path chosen? The path chosen. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, say again.
Demigod worship, Prabhuji.
Not demigod worship. Maybe a little more generalize it. Vedic path. Okay. Because in animal life also, or animalistic life also, the goal is to enjoy happiness in this world. But what is the goal path chosen there? The path is not following Vedic literatures. So what makes a person different in Karma Kanda stage from lower stage? The acceptance of
Shastras.
Shastras. Very right. Vedic literatures. He has chosen that as the guiding path for his life. Okay, next, let's go next. The next stage is Karma Yoga. Describe Karma Yoga. Last time I mentioned it. Maybe if you want, we can see that more. Yes, what is Karma Yoga? What is the goal? What is the path? Talk in these terms.
Karma Yoga means actions which are required. We can say, put in that words, which actions which are required, which are necessary for fulfilling or fulfilling your desires. So that you try to put forth. Means desires are there, but you have to put some actions with that, so to fulfill that desires.
Okay. Anybody else would like to add on this?
What I think, Prabhu, karma yoga, here sakam karma means that one is performing his duty. He's also having material benefits, but with that he's also giving something to God.
Okay. So let's not talk Sakam Nishkam, just talk Karma. Sakam Nishkam becomes another detail to add on there. So Karma, I just mentioned it. I'm sorry if I'm demanding too much of memory check on this. But if you consider like this, the goal and path. The goal in Karma Kanda is material happiness. The path is Vedic scriptures. The goal in Karma Yoga is not material happiness. What is it? The goal, I'm telling goal. The goal is to get out of this liberation. That's why the word yoga comes there. As soon as the word kanda to yoga becomes what it is actually, it is becoming a change in the goal of practitioner. But the path is Vedic scriptures. Specifically that scripture which are giving liberation, which are called actually Jnana Kanda scriptures or Moksha Shastras, like that, or Nigama Shastras, another time I had told. So like this, Karma Yoga begins. In Karma Yoga, the beginning stage is Sakama, in which a person has little desire to enjoy in this world, along with the goal to attain liberation. At Nishkama stage, he has actually left desire to enjoy in this world, that is fruits of work or like that. But his goal has been that only, and it has become more strong. What is the goal? What is the goal in Karma Yoga? Anybody?
Liberation.
Liberation. Correct. So now Prabhupada, why are we talking about this ladder? Because now Prabhupada will talk about the Nishkama Karma Yoga. The Nishkama Karma Yoga is also technically called in another name by name Naishkarmya. Now you see the Ishopanishad mantra 2 purport. Prabhupada will talk about it. Okay, let's go to the purport. And then we will reflect back on this point. Okay, now read this from beginning. Now we are beginning this today's discussion. Continuing. The instructions of, yes, please
The
take.
instructions of Sri Isopanishad are more elaborately explained in the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes called the Gitopanishad.
Yes.
The cream of all the Upanishads. In the Bhagavad Gita 3.9.16, the personality of Godhead says that one cannot attain the state of
Naishkarmya.
Naishya or akarma without executing the prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedic literature.
Okay, what is Naishkarmya in our yoga ladder? I just mentioned.
Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, like that. Continue now. This literature
can regulate the working energy of the human beings in such a way that he can gradually realize the authority of the Supreme Being.
Continue reading.
When he realizes the authority of personality of Godhead, Vasudev or Krishna, it is to be understood that he has attained the stage of positive knowledge. This purified stages of modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, cannot act, and he is able to work on the basis of nishkarmya.
Naishkarmya.
Nishkarmya.
Naishkarmya.
Such work does not bind one to the cycle of birth and death.
Birth and death. Okay, so in the shloka it is told that one will not be bound by karma or birth and death. So what is the description in the shloka is of Nishkama Karma Yoga. The shloka is telling, no, if one acts like this in Ishopanishad principle, he can live for 100 years and nothing can bind him in this world. What is it? It is description of Naishkarmya or Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Prabhupada is talking about it here. But how can you rise to Naishkarmya? Can we directly jump into there? No. The way to go there is through the ladder. The ladder doesn't mean that, okay, you have to go to the Karma Kanda now. No, that's not the instruction here. The instruction is one should nonetheless do one's prescribed duties. See, in Karma Kanda, one is doing prescribed duty, but along with that, he also has a material desire, and that is getting fulfilled. That's the goal, actually. So, but in Karma Yoga, one actually does the prescribed duty, but he doesn't have material desire. That's why the word Nishkama comes. It's a very advanced stage of acting in this world, Naishkarmya, acting without desiring happiness in this world, but desiring liberation. For a devotee, when we talk liberation, it becomes a spiritual world. For a devotee, liberation means spiritual world. So this was what Prabhupada told. So how can we rise to Naishkarmya? What is the way to attain that? And if you recollect in these words, what is the way to go to Naishkarmya?
We have to follow the Vedic principles only for that.
Yeah, specifically prescribed duties. Yes, and the beauty in Vedic literatures is as soon as one begins to follow it, even if one has material desire and he begins to follow it, it actually tells him a lot of knowledge, inspiration, and it even gives facility to rise above that material desire. Say, suppose a person is following some Karma Kanda scripture, but there also there will be talk about how this world is not a worthy goal. It is filled with misery, and one should actually get out of this world. There will be some description of that supreme person. So there will be some knowledge, but because the person has so much of possession of desires, he is not able to accept that immediately. But because of practicing, he becomes a little purified. He also associates with some saintly people, some brahmanas like that. And he hears this and he also sees in his experience little. So then he begins to accept that, yes, I should actually try for karma yoga. I should actually try to purify myself like that. So at the end, he attains to the Naishkarmya. Naishkarmya is the perfected stage of karma yoga. Okay. So that's how one rises. Prabhupada has talked about it. And in Naishkarmya, the modes of nature actually do not act. Means one is not controlled by the modes of nature. Now comes an important, very interesting thing. In fact, this becomes more practical now. Okay. So how can we see in this world, how can we act in this world in Karma Yoga way? How can we inspire people to Karma Yoga? Actually, Karma Yoga is nothing but connecting oneself with the Supreme and making him develop interest in that Supreme person. As soon as he develops interest and attachment and liking, then he begins to feel, yes, I should actually know more about him. I should like to stay, I would like to stay with him. I would like to serve him. So then a person's path of liberation begins. You may remember last time I did mention spiritual life actually begins from karma yoga. The word yoga means spiritual life. So karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, or dhyana yoga, and then bhakti. These are all different stages of spiritual growth. So Prabhupada tells how one can connect a person to yoga, to the path of yoga. So please read factually.
Factually, no one has to do anything more than render devotional service to the Lord. However, in the lower stages of life, one cannot immediately adopt the activities of devotional service, nor can one completely stop fruitive work. A conditioned soul is accustomed to working for sense gratification, for his own selfish interest, immediate or extended.
Okay, do you understand this word? Immediate and extended. These are important words to know. So Prabhupada is talking about two types of sense gratification. Immediate and extended. Any of you would like to express your understandings on this? What does it mean? Immediate and extended.
Immediate, I mean, when it's done for yourself, it's,
Okay, very
for
good.
our own sense gratification. And extended means when you do it for the, family, society, welfare kind of activities. That's my understanding.
That's interesting. Very good. Very good. So the immediate, as Prabhu told, is the sense of I. The extended is the sense of mine. Have you heard this word? Aham, mama, I, mine. This is actually immediate and extended. So when we say, I want to enjoy, I want this, that is immediate. I and I alone is the enjoyer. Extended, it actually expands. It begins with the immediate people around us, maybe our family. For a family man, it could be wife, children, or a husband, and then it expands into a little more family circle, then into one social circle, then into little more into maybe some regional circles, some state. It could expand into language, is it not? Then country. It can even expand into the planet. But still, the center of that whole is I. The center of that is, it's like concentric circles, One center is there, dot, and around it there are circles. The dot is I. Around it is different circle. The first immediate circle is maybe family. The next circle is, it could be some other families members, some little distant family, or it could be my own housing society, or it could be my language, or my caste, or my specific background, or my state. Like this, the circles expand, they become bigger, 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 bigger. It can even go to the level of my own planet, my country, my planet, my world, my material world. But everything is mine, means the center is I. Everybody thinks like this. But the interesting fact is, everyone else also thinks like this, and whom we think they are in my immediate family members, they are also having their own circle. So everyone has their circles. And wherever there are intersections, we consider, oh, they are my benefactors. But sometimes people, they have clashes of interest. Sometimes this word is used, clash in interest, one's self-interest. So the point is, everybody is working for self-interest. either immediate or extended. Now, knowing this, a devotee or a spiritual practitioner, he tries to bring in God in one of those circles for a person. When God becomes the center of that person's life, that means I is replaced by God. That means he has become practically pure devotee. But God is coming slowly, slowly inside into the circle. So the beginning of preaching is nothing but making God in your circle of interest. Oh yes, that's nice. If I serve God, I get so much of benefit. Maybe God is in my country circle. Yes. Krishna is the God of India. He's a Bharatiya person. He upheld the culture of Sanatana Dharma. I will support him. And then slowly a person starts to feel, yeah, Krishna is, I find myself so close to Krishna. Slowly, as it comes towards the center, Krishna becomes the center of the whole life. So like this, one should begin to bring Krishna to the center and move oneself away from the center. That's called God-centered life. So Prabhupada will use these words, God-centered, self-centered, those words here. Okay, so let us read it ahead and then we can appreciate this principle more better. An ordinary man
works for his own sense enjoyment, and when the principles of the sense enjoyment is extended to include his society, nation, or humanity in general, it assumes various attractive names such as altruism, socialism, communism, nationalism, and human humanitarianism.
Humanitarianism.
These isms are very certainly very attractive forms of a karma bandhana, karmic bondage. But the Vedic instructions of a Sri Ishopanishad is that if one actually wants to live for any of above isms, he should make them a God-centered.
Okay, see, these words are interesting. Prabhupada is bringing very important concept here. What is it? All type of so-called welfare activities, they are all centered on self-interest. Be it socialism, communism, nationalism, humanitarianism also. How? We serve a country because we feel this is my country. We serve a community because we feel this is my community. We serve humanity because we feel this is my species. Is it not? Because we find ourselves the center and okay, this belongs to us, so I should protect it. I should stand for it. But do we care like this for other identities? No. So Prabhupada says these are all self-interests, and that is the reason he calls them as attractive forms of karma bandhana. Why attractive? Why attractive? Why not just karma bandhana? Anybody would like to say why Prabhupada has used word attractive?
True, because we think that these are activities which are actually doing benefit for the society, and therefore it is, I mean, I'm doing some pious activity, so therefore it finds very attractive.
Yeah. They appear to be selfless, no? Is it not? They don't appear at all to be selfish, correct? But Prabhupada is telling actually they are selfish activities. They are extended selfish activities, not be immediate. Mahan kyunki main mahan hu, hai na? Is it not? We say that actually. So the selfishness is so much there in a conditioned soul. It's not easy to rise from that selfishness unless you bring God in the center of life. That's why Prabhupada says here, if one wants to live for the above isms, he should make them God-centered. Isms means, what are the isms mentioned here is altruism, socialism, communism, nationalism, humanitarianism, all that isms, Manavtavad, Rashtravad, all that vad. That's the in English isms. So what is Prabhupada saying here? Okay, if you want to serve humanity, then see how it is connected to God. If you want to serve a nation, say India, Bharat, if you want to be patriotic, see how it is connected to God. If you want to serve a particular social situation, see how it is connected to God. So if we do that, then that becomes an eternal credit. Otherwise, it becomes a temporary activity for this life, and it will become a cause of one's bondage. Like nowadays, people love to express their pride of being of country India, Bharat. That's wonderful. But where that pride should be based on? It should be based on spiritual culture. It should be based on spirituality, Krishna consciousness. If that is so, then that kind of patriotism is not binding. If a patriotism which is not based on spirituality will be binding, because similar kind of patriotism is there even in Pakistan, even in Afghanistan, even in Bangladesh. Everyone have the patriotism, is it not? But what patriotism Ishopanishad is telling in terms of nationalism, the word is used, is God-centered nationalism, God-centered communism. Prabhupada will later talk about spiritual communism. Is this point clear, Hare Krishna? Any comments or questions on this?
प्रभु जी वो जो
Yes.
attractive word है,
हाँ.
like we were discussing about that
Correct.
why the Prabhupada's word
Yes.
used word attractive. Is it because that that these isms they satisfy our subtle sex? Can we say in that?
Yeah, the subtle sex means basic ego, correct? No? What you mean as
Puja la
ego?
pratishtha.
Yeah, yes, that's true. Actually, it is easy to identify gross selfishness, but it's very difficult to identify this kind of extended selfishness, which are very, very subtle. You pointed that even that word, subtle sex. That's true. Okay. So no, most of the times people, when they say spiritual life, they're actually talking about humanitarianism, nationalism. Is it not? Outside Srila Prabhupada's teachings in today's world, when we say spirituality, it is these isms only. They don't actually come to the center of spirituality. That is God. They don't bring it. So how rare is to get this understanding? Prabhupada is pointing it. Yes, any other comment?
Bro, I wanted to ask, in 2.7 Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada speaks about a miser person.
Correct.
And that also Prabhupada writes that all these isms or for society or family, it is
Correct.
actually a quality of a miser person.
Correct.
He rises beyond that. But then how Prabhupada is writing here that, I mean, these are all material things. How can it get into Krishna conscious acts?
They can be, see, if one wants to live for those isms, if one has a great desire to serve his country, serve humanity, then he should make them God sent. He's not advising that you become like that. He's telling, okay, if you have a strong inclination to work for that, then make it God centered or spirituality based. The instruction is like this. I hope you're getting the difference in this.
Yes, bro.
Huh?
And another thing was there, you were speaking about goodness, ignorance, and passion. In that, I just could not I skipped it. You said that Nishkam Karma Yoga, at the level of Nishkam Karma Yoga, we are beyond this goodness, ignorance, and passion.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Correct.
just wanted to clear that.
Yes. Prabhupada told it in the earlier paragraph. I just repeated that part. Okay. Maybe let's continue reading.
Guruji,
If
I have a
anything
question.
comes, yes, yes.
प्रभु जी यहाँ पे
Yes.
प्रभुपाद लिखते हैं certainly very attractive form
हाँ,
of कर्म बंधन। प्रभु जी इसको
correct.
ब्रॉड पर्सपेक्टिव में कैसे देखे, जो ऊपर सोशलिज्म है, नेशनलिज्म है या फिर
हाँ,
ह्यूमैनिटेरियनिज्म है, पर
हाँ,
रिलीजियस तो अलग अलग है प्रभु जी। किसी का सोशलिज्म किसी और की तरफ से अलग हो सकता है, हर कंट्री का अलग हो,
correct. Correct.
तो उसको हम कैसे देख सकते हैं प्रभु जी गॉड सेंटर्ड में, क्योंकि सबका अलग पर्सपेक्टिव रहेगा।
At least, see, that's what, na? Ultimately, the whole of the planet was Krishna conscious originally. मैं ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि केवल भारतीयों को ये disadvantage is there. This could be for everyone. They can see that as connected to Vedic culture and support that aspect of Vedic culture. Be it even, say, suppose Russia. Okay. For example, I'm just taking Russia. How people in Russia can connect nationalism to God-centered. Is this the question, Prabhu? Am I understanding it right?
यस प्रभु जी, यस।
Huh? Okay. So how can we make that? So the point is one should, if one has a association of the right person, he can show that connection. There are ways like Prabhupada, Prabhupada, very interesting. When he was putting up that Bombay Pandal, he was putting up that Bombay Pandal, and he told some of his Western disciples, the first Bombay Pandal, he told them that you should make it really big. You should make it really big. Huh? And he challenged them, telling, if you Americans cannot do it, then what's the use of you being Americans? America means something big. You should make some big service for Krishna. You should make big pandal. Prabhupada tells this to Shyam Sundar Prabhu. So the point is, one can use those national identities to serve Krishna, to inspire them to connect to Krishna. So Prabhupada was that person who could inspire even people of once he went to, like this many, one another time Prabhupada was talking to Kshatriyas, some Kusti Pailwans he was talking. And then he was telling, you see, in the Vedic culture, there is a role for Kshatriyas, how important they have to stand for protecting Vedic culture. So you all are feeling that you are Kshatriyas by nature, but you should now protect Vedic culture. So he was inspiring them like that. So one can enforce material identities for spiritual purpose. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is many times calling Arjuna as Partha. Partha means what? A son of Pritha. If Krishna is teaching that you are not this body, why is he addressing Arjun by telling, hey, you are son of Pritha? In the very next shloka only he says. Why he says that? It is to enforce, hey, you belong to such great devotee mother, who was such great tolerant, who had such great qualities. You should not be behaving as an unworthy son of such kind of a lady. So you should live up to your mother's qualities. You understand? So like this, one can impress on the material identities for a spiritual purpose. Hope it helps. Is it okay? Hare Krishna, Radha Gokulan through.
Yes, प्रभु जी।
Okay. Take. Let us proceed, and then maybe again we can take questions. There is from here. From here, read. There is
no
no
harm in becoming a family man or an altruist, a socialist, a communist, a nationalist, or a humanitarian, provided that one executes his activities in relation with Ishavasya, the God-centered
So there
concept.
is no harm. So Prabhupada is bringing very important statement, which is actually possible in the Bhakti Yoga context only. That there is no harm in becoming a family man, welfare worker, humanitarian, provided he has God-centered conception. His life is God-centered, not self-centered. And every activity is for that purpose of serving the center. And now Prabhupada, in further part of the purport, he says, now what are the benefits of just bringing God into the center of one's life? Continue reading. in the Bhagavad Gita?
In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, Lord Krishna states that God-centered activities are so valuable that just a few of them can save a person from the greatest danger. The
Yeah.
greatest danger of life is the danger of gliding down again into the evolutionary cycle of birth and death among the 8.4 million species. Somehow or other, a man misses the spiritual opportunity afforded by his human form of life and falls down again into the evolutionary cycle, he must be considered most unfortunate. Due to his defective senses, a foolish man cannot see that this is happening. Consequently, Sri Isopanishad advises us to exert our energy into the spirit of Ishavasya. Being so engaged, we may wish to live for many years. Otherwise, a long life in itself has no value. A tree lives for hundreds and hundreds of years, but there is no point in living a long time like trees, or breathing like bellows, or getting children like hogs and dogs, or like camels.
So this is actually coming from a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is told that Taravah kim na jivanti, bhastra kim na shvasantyutah. So are the trees not living long? Are the bellows of blacksmith, blacksmith, one who works on the metal, घास क्या बोलते हैं उसको मराठी में, I don't know. Kulme we call it. So it sucks the air for that fire to heat up that metal. So that is also bellowing like a day, like the lungs. They are also living. Don't say that trees are not living, trees are not breathing, I am breathing. Like that blacksmith's bellows are also breathing. Oh no, but animals are we are producing children. Animals are also producing children. They are also eating. So what is that makes difference? Are these bodily activities that makes difference? No. The decision to make one's life God-centered and living like that, that's what makes a human life different. Read ahead.
A humble God-centered life is more valuable than
colossal
hawks of a life dedicated to godless altruism or socialism.
Understand this word colossal hoax? Anybody? What is the meaning of this? Colossal hoax. Maybe you can check your dictionary apps or something. Colossal hoax. Interesting word. A massive loss. Hoax means you say you advertise that we are making profits, They say it's a hoax. मतलब सब झूठा है. Hoax. So colossal hoax. You have advertised to the whole world that you are making you are doing the greatest activity, but it is hoax. What is that hoax? Altruism, socialism, nationalism, humanitarianism, which is not God-centered. That kind of a life is colossal hoax. In what sense? In the sense of eternity, in the sense of eyes of Supreme Lord. But a humble God-centered life. Humble God-centered means he did not live life to show to the world that just see I'm doing big. No. He was just happy living according to the desires of Krishna, his guru, for scriptures. He was God-centered, humble. That's more valuable in the eyes of Lord. It's and activities. Anybody else take up reading?
When altruist activities are executed in the spirit of Sri Ishopanishad, they become a form of karma yoga. Such activities are recommended in the Bhagavad Gita 18.5 to 9.
Right.
For they guarantee their executor protection from the danger of sliding down into the evolutionary process of birth and death.
So one type of benefit of God-centered activities or Ishavasya principle is that one will not lie down to animal. The next life, which everyone has to take in this world until one becomes pure, that next life will not be animal species or non-human species. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is coming ahead. Even if one is not able to complete, he will get a chance to complete his uncompleted part in the next life. This is not the case in other paths, in material paths. Yeah, that's the second benefit. And the third benefit is ultimately, if he attains perfection, he will not be bound by the cycle of birth and death. The three benefits. So we are saying that shloka number 2, which is benefits of Ishavasya Tattva or life. What are the three benefits? Anybody quickly recollect? Three benefits.
The protection from the danger of sliding down into evolutionary process of birth and death.
Yeah, especially gliding down to animal species. Okay, the danger of gliding down to animals. The second one, anybody else?
Half activities which you have finished in this life will continue in the next life as well.
Next level. The third one.
In the next birth.
Yeah, basically you will not be, you will be liberated. One will rise above the cycle of birth and 3. Okay, continue reading.
Even though such God-centered activities may be half finished, they are still good for the executor because they will guarantee him a human form in his next birth. In this way, one can have another chance to improve his position on the path of liberation. How one can execute God-centered activities is elaborately explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. We have rendered this book into English as the Nectar of Devotion. We recommend this valuable book to all who
are interested. Yeah. Who are interested in performing.
To all who are interested in performing the activities in the spirit of Ishopanishad.
So Prabhupada is actually telling that if you want to know more about God-centered activities, that's the subject of Bhakti Yoga. And that's described in Bhakti Shastras, which Prabhupada specifically tells Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So this is Ishopanishad, which is a Jnana Kanda Shastra, Moksha Shastra. But more about God-centered activities is in Bhakti Shastra. So Prabhupada is pointing it, one can learn more there. Okay, so this completes the mantra 2. Let's quickly take a review of what all points we saw in this and then take ahead. Yeah, yeah. So these are the 6 items we have seen. Please read them. We covered the remaining 3 also today. Last time we had done the first 3. Read it. The first one.
Fear of death and karma bandhana. Second, karma, akarma, and vikarma.
Karma.
Attaining akarma.
Naishkarmya.
Karmya by following prescribed duties.
Correct.
Fourth, isms made to akarma by making them God-centered.
Correct.
God-centered activities save one from greatest danger. Sixth, bhakti, even if incomplete, is all auspicious.
Yeah, the golden statement in this purport is this below. Read it. A humble
God-centered life is more valuable than colossal hawks of life dedicated to godless altruism and socialism.
Socialism, all that you can list, humanitarianism, nationalism. So like this, we learn the benefits of following Ishvaras. We would like to take up mantra 3 today. Anybody have any comments or any questions? Anybody online who have joined? You would not ask anything or comment? Siddhant Prabhu.
No,
Ajay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes.
Bro, here it is written that even if one's bhakti is incomplete, then also it is he's given a human birth.
Yeah.
But again, we have a doubt that whether we can get, I mean, the probability of getting human birth is very low because knowingly or not unknowingly, sometimes we commit some activities which are not fruitful for devotional service, or sometimes we also commit aprad no, unknowingly also. Then
Okay, continue.
we are not aware of it na. So then how can we even if the scriptures are telling us, then also there is some slight doubt in this particular statement.
Actually, this description comes in 6th chapter of Gita. Krishna says there that no matter, even if one doesn't complete in this life, he will not be at a loss. So he describes that in the next life, I will give him repeated opportunities for spiritual growth. How he provides it, he describes. He gives birth in some spiritual families or some materially good families wherein one need not work hard for its material maintenance. Like that, there are some descriptions on it. The essential point is Krishna assures that one need not fear, one need not have that insecurity. Oh, if I don't completely attain perfection in this life, what will happen to me in next life? Will I need to fully do it again? Next life, to, all that I studied in my last life. Is that the question you are telling, Prabhu?
Yes, bro, to some extent this, but another point to my question was unknowingly or knowingly we commit some activities which are not fruitful. So that repercussions we have to face. So then how do we get out of this bondage?
When you
Because
say not fruitful, what exactly are they? Are they aparadhas or sins or
apradhas,
what?
yes, apradhas as well as sins, both.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So say in a case where a person happened to commit sins, it is not such a great fear because sins are not so much displeasing to Krishna as aparadhas. If one does aparadh, then Krishna may want to uh, rectify that person by giving him a very difficult situation by which one realizes it. Krishna may even disown that person to material nature also, if aparadh is very severe. But if we have done it in ignorance, then Krishna always considers it in good light. We need not feel that, oh, he will misunderstand me or so. No, Krishna never misunderstands any conditioned soul, any soul for that matter. He knows the intention behind what happened actually, all that. So if one is sincere, if one is because of some past habit he has done, because of some bad association he has done, any sin for that matter, Krishna will not take it seriously. He will give repeated opportunity. But this should not be taken in lenience. Oh, Krishna is giving a leeway. Let me, no, one should be, in fact, serious, not to, in one sense, make Krishna do that kind of a concession. But the point is, how do we see someone had rendered spiritual life in earlier part, previous life, and in this life is continuing? How do we see that? We see that by some observations. One quickly picks up spiritual practices. One develops very easily a fixity in spiritual practices. The word used in Bhagavad Gita is avashaha. He is very nicely drawn to devotional activities. These are all showing the traits from past. That means spiritual advancement he did in past life is helping him. He quickly comes to that 50% or 40% wherever he had left last time. And from there he continues. So sometimes we can see it in our preaching also. People sometimes very quickly, some of them, they very quickly take up what we say. Why? Because maybe there was some spiritual background history of it. So that is assured by Krishna. And very rarely does a person fall into animal life unless one does aparadhas or unless there is some special arrangement by Krishna like that. The case that happened with respect to Bharata Maharaj in Bhagavatam is described in Bhagavatam itself as a very special arrangement by Krishna to teach to the all sadhakas that they should be very careful about attachments like that. That's not a regular thing that a devotee may fall into animal life. No, it's not a regular thing. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, bro.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have
Yeah.
a question in same context. Prabhuji, अगर कोई होगा जो sinful life उसने पूरी sinful life जी है पर उसके पास कुछ सुकृति है और फिर अगर उसकी डेथ हो गई तो फिर वो पहले 8.4 मिलियन स्पीशीज से जाएगा या फिर वो हेल में अपने सिन को क्लींस करेगा और फिर अर्थ पे आएगा?
तो उसने भक्ति नहीं की पर वो सुकृति है उसके पास, ऐसे बोल रहे क्या? हरि बोल।
यस प्रभु जी।
उसने भक्ति नहीं किया है बट सुकृति है और वो अभी अपना शरीर छोड़ दिया, क्या होगा ऐसे बोल रहे हो?
हाँ प्रभु जी।
Okay. So see, the sukrutis, there are two types of sukrutis. One is punya sukrutis. No? Another is bhakti sukrutis. So usually when we say sukruti, it is to mean bhakti sukruti. That is connected to devotional service. So bhakti sukrutis, they are across the lifetimes. They are never destroyed. So because he has not taken to devotional service immediately, he may, because of his past action reaction, he may take any species. But once he begins to practice devotional service, from then on, the next life is assured as human. Till then, he was like doing ajnata sukriti. Sukriti means it's unconscious, ajnat. The word is used, है ना? But जब से वो भक्ति को स्वीकार लेता है, भगवान का नाम ले लेता है, he has taken to shelter of Guru, he has taken a resolve to practice devotion. From then on, next life is life. The Shastras, they give the sprouts. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. But at the same time, Prabhupada also says that if one does aparadhas, he may get animal life also. Like Prabhupada says in Vrindavan, sometimes some great saintly people, because of some bad activity, may get animal body in Vrindavan. Have you heard this? Prabhupada says sometimes. It's also told. So one should be very cautious, should be very serious of not misusing such promises for material purpose. Okay? Let us continue to mantra 3. You remember mantra 3? What is mantra 3's connection with mantra 1? Any of you recollect? What is mantra 3's connection with mantra 1?
Following mantra 1.
The loss of not following Ishavasya. Yes, you're right. Maybe I can show that slide once if somebody. Yes, here it is. So you had all noted this already. So mantra 3 talks about loss. Mantra 2 talked about benefits. Okay, let's go to mantra 3 and read. So please repeat after me this shloka. Asurya namate loka andhena tamavrata
Dhena tamasavritā
tamste pretyabhigachanti
amste pretyabhigachanti
ye kechatmahano jana.
eke chatmahano jana.
So the shloka says Asurya. So those who don't live life according to Ishavasya principle, what happens to them? Asurya namate loka. They will enter to the lokas whose name is Asurya. The Asuri lokas they will enter. Are bapre, what is the quality or nature of these Asuri lokas? Andhena. They are blind, dark. Tamasavrita, they are filled with ignorance. When does this happen? Tamste pretya abhigachanti. When a person is leading life not following Ishavasya principle, against Ishavasya principle, when he dies, when someone dies, he is called preta. When someone dies, he is called preta or pretya. Sometimes you use this word भूत प्रेत है ना. प्रेत मतलब जब मरने बाद. तो प्रेत्य मरने बाद वो कहा जाएगा अभिगच्छन्ति. He goes to asura lokas, which have specific qualities of darkness and ignorance. Such people, they are called atmahana. They are called killers of soul. These people, they kill their own soul. Are? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna told soul cannot be killed, right? Why in Vedic scripture here it is told they are killers of the soul? Anybody would like to guess what it means? What does it mean, killer of the soul?
प्रभु वो वापस नीचे चले जाते हैं, मतलब
नीचे चले जाते हैं मतलब
ये मतलब वो जो साइकिल है अपना, वो ह्यूमन बर्थ से नीचे चल जाते हैं एनिमल लाइफ में.
तो बट सोल तो मरता नहीं ना, सोल रहेगा ना एनिमल बॉडी में भी. व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
सोल तो रहेगा प्रभु जी.
So why it is described killer? The soul is killed or what there?
We say that we are not this body, we are soul. So according to that, if you are killing some animal, that is also equivalent to, I mean, you are forcefully killing him so that the soul would, I mean, then he would get another body. In this way we can take it.
Okay. Anybody else would like to add more?
ऐसे सोच सकते हैं क्या प्रभु जी, डिग्रेड कर रहा है खुद को वो हेलिश प्लैनेट्स की तरफ.
Hellish planets. Yeah, that's also right. So killer of soul means the soul has some qualities. It can be visible more in human life. The qualities of soul become more visible in human body. In animal body, the soul gets covered so much that you practically feel soul is dead. You understand? The soul cannot express its original qualities like that. Okay. Anyway, there is a very nice description about killers of soul by Prabhupada. It translates.
The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
So the killer of the soul, one who doesn't follow Ishavasya principle, he is called by the name Atmahana, Atmaha. These words are used. Killer of the soul. What is the destiny for them? What's the destination given? The planets of faithless, darkness, ignorance, hell, whatever you call it. So the Asura's description is coming here. So in the shloka, there is a word called Asura. Asurya namate loka. So Prabhupada defines what is Asura. Who is called an Asura? Then he will describe what is this killer of the soul, Atmahana or Atmaha. He will describe that. So like this, the purport flows. Kindly read purport. Human life.
Human life is distinct from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who work in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities or who have no information of them are called asuras.
Or demons. See, the definition of sura Asura. Sura is also called Deva. Devas. And Asuras, demons. The definition is given. What is the definition? This is actually coming from a Vedic verse. Tadvishno paramam padagam sada pashyanti surayah. Rigvedic verse, it says like that. So what it means is one who knows the responsibility of human life. He is called Sura or Devata. Another place it is also told, one who is serving the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, he is called Sura. There are two definitions. The first definition is one who knows the responsibility of human life. It is not like animals, living like animals. No, it is very distinct. It is very different. What is the difference between humans and animals? We have seen that earlier also. The difference is the inquiry into spiritual life, the spiritual practice, or basically devotional service. So those who are cognizant, you understand this word cognizant? What does cognizant mean? Cognizant. There is some company by name Cognizant, no? In Pune, it's a big company. What does cognizant mean? Huh? Cognizant.
नहीं पता प्रोजी.
नहीं पता. Cognizant मतलब one who knows. Cognizance, cognition, to know. You know. So those who are cognizant means those who are aware. जिन्हें पता है. Cognizant. And the opposite to it is not knowing, ignorant, or Prabhupada uses the word neglectful. You see? So those who know that human life is meant for spiritual perfection. Those who know that one should serve Lord Krishna, devotional service, they are called Suras. And those who don't know, or those who know it but they neglect it, this is far dangerous, is it not? Those who don't know, or those who neglect even after knowing, they are called, what are they called? What are they called?
Asura.
Asuras. Continue reading through. Continue reading.
Throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human being. In the Rig Veda, it is वही ना?
Correct. आरजी मतलब ऋग ही है. Continue.
Veda, it is
आरजी मतलब राधा गोकुलान प्रभु ने ऋग्वेद है. Yes, continue.
it is stated that the Suras always aim at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and act accordingly.
Yeah.
Their ways are as illuminated as the path of the sun.
So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna dedicates one chapter to describe Asuras and Suras or Devas. You know which chapter? There is one whole chapter in which Krishna describes what are the qualities of Asuras and what are the qualities of Devas. He doesn't say that Asuras have big mustache or some horns or no, not like that. He describes them in terms of their beliefs, their activities, their behavior. So which chapter? Open your Bhagavad Gita in the app. Just check which chapter of Bhagavad Gita describes about divine and demoniac. That's a chapter like that. Not 13th.
11th.
Not 11th.
16th.
Yes. Which is that? 16th.
16th.
This is an important chapter. Of course, when you study Gita, you will appreciate it more better. but Prabhupada is pointing that here. So the Devas and Asuras, it's important to know the characteristics. They are very, very different. So Prabhupada defined who is a Sura, who is an Asura. What is the definition? Kindly recollect. This is important for your exam. That's why I'm asking again. Who is a Sura, who is Asura? Yes, Radha Gokulan.
सुराज वो है जो ह्यूमन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जानते हैं.
हाँ, और कुछ उस डेफिनेशन में. Those who aim at the lotus feet, those who are devotees.
Of Vishnu.
That's another definition. And similarly, Asuras ka definition. Asuras mean
people who are in total ignorance, those who are unaware, or those who know
unaware.
they are neglectful about the same.
Okay. About spiritual responsibilities or human responsibilities. Continue. ठीक है. Continue the next part. Who is Atmaha, killer of the soul? Atmaha. Read this. Intelligent.
Intelligent human beings must always remember that the soul obtains a human form after an evolution of many millions of years in the cycle of transmigration. The material world is sometimes compared to an ocean, and the human body is compared to a solid boat designed especially to cross this ocean. The Vedic scripture and the acharyas or saintly teachers are compared to expert boatmen, and the facilities of the human body are compared to the two favorable visas that help the boat ply smoothly to its desired destination.
So here is a comparison. Comparison is important to understand. What is the comparison? The whole world is compared to an ocean. What is the human body compared to? There are many types of bodies. Animal body, reptile body, bird's body. But human body is compared to a solid boat. A very capable, strong boat by which one can cross the ocean. There are other bodies in this world which are also helpful, but they will not help one to cross the ocean. Yeah. And what else are compared? Can anyone quickly check their books and tell? What else is compared? Check. Ocean हो गया, and then boat हो गया, और क्या है?
Acharyas as experts boatsmen
or captains. Acharyas are like the captain. Without a captain, how can you sail across an ocean? Yes. Continue. Next, what else? There is one more.
एंकर भी है क्या?
नहीं, अभी तक जो हमने पढ़ा, anchor is not exactly here in this analogy. Okay. There is one more item in this analogy. Just now we read. जिनके पास बुक है वो इजीली देख पाएंगे.
Facilities of the human body are compared to favorable breezes.
Facilities. The four things which are very clearly mentioned. Here you see. The ocean is material world. The boat is human body. This is a very capable boat. Okay, like a ship. And captain is spiritual master, acharyas, or Vedic literatures. All three are told here actually. And the favorable breeze. This is not a diesel boat. This is not a fuel boat because the oceans are so big, so vast. How much fuel you can keep storing? This is like a yacht. Yacht, you understand? जो हवा के झोंके से जाता है, one who knows expertly to use the power of wind. So, favorable breeze. If the breeze is favorable, then the boat can very nicely sail across. Similarly, in a human body, there are very special facilities given. Facility to hear, to understand, to decide that I will do this, I will not do this, and to follow, to determinedly follow. You understand? This is all special facility of a human body. Discrimination, determination, decision, all that is all facility of a human body. Actually, this whatever Prabhupada is describing is coming from a verse in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is not making an analogy on his own. Prabhupada is basing it on a Srimad Bhagavatam scripture, a shloka. It comes in 11th canto, this shloka. Dhridehamadyam sulabham sudurlabham. Plavam means boat. Plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam. Karnadhara means captain. Guru is the karnadhara, the captain. Mayanukulena nabhasvateritam. Anukula nabha means favorable breezes. See, the very word Prabhupada is using is actually from this verse. So the human body is such a wonderful gift. And especially when one has gotten a guru or a spiritual acharya, a guide or acharya, that's the best situation one can have. But after getting all this, Puman Bhavabdhim, using this, one can easily cross over. But after getting all this, if one doesn't cross, na taret, one doesn't cross the ocean, he makes bahana, he makes negligence, he actually doesn't put the best efforts for many excuses. Such a person is called Atmaha. See, the word is used. The very word in Ishopanishad verse is actually there in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Prabhupada is bringing Bhagavatam here. Can you read the translation of this verse on the screen? The human body.
The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds, impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul.
Soul. Very interesting. The word used for captain in this verse is called Karnadhara. You know? Karnadhara. This word Karnadhara. Karnadhara, one devotee was explaining, I remember this, also means someone who holds Karna. one who basically catches one's ears if one does wrong and he trains him. He's a guru. So after getting human body, guidance to follow spiritual life, and such a capable situation, if one doesn't take benefit of it, such a person is called Atmaha. Read this. If with all this, we are going to Ishopanishad purport now. If with all these,
with all these facilities, a human being does not fully utilize his life for self-realization, he must be considered an Atmaha, a killer of the soul. Sri Ishopanishad warns in clear terms that the killer of the soul is destined to enter into the darkest region of ignorance to suffer perpetually.
Perpetually means for very, very long time. So who is killer of the soul? The soul cannot be killed, right? What does it mean when it is told killer of the soul? It doesn't mean literally the soul will be killed. It means that the soul's quality cannot be seen in such a living being. So what is the killer of the soul according to this purport?
That the person gets a animal life form where the qualities of the soul are not seen clearly, or they are not evidently being seen. So that's the reason we can say that it becomes what do you say, covered, mostly in the
practically killed. So when you are asked, you can explain it in this example. So one who has gotten a human body, spiritual teacher or master, Vedic literatures, facilities, and yet he does not utilize it for self-realization. Such a person is called killer of soul. So you can give this definition. It is directly from the words of Prabhupada.
Yes.
Okay. So like this, one should understand that after getting human life, it is not an option. One should take help of Vedic literatures. Vedic literatures are specifically meant for human beings. We saw no in the first verse itself. The quota of human beings, their proper says is Vedic literatures. Vedic literatures are meant for human. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Now that you've gotten a human body, now inquire about spiritual path, like that. So Prabhupada now talks about what is so different in human life. How human life is given a special advantage. Read it, Prabhu. There are swine.
There are swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as are to us. But economic problems of these animals are solved only under nasty and unpleasant conditions. The human being is given all facilities for a comfortable life by the laws of nature, because the human form of life is more important and valuable than animal life. Why is man given a better life than that of the swine or other animals?
You know, swine means pig, actually. Horn is actually that part. So Prabhupada is talking here, animals, they also are having their needs of the body, but they are fulfilled under nasty, unpleasant conditions. You see any animal or a bird or a worm, what is it doing? Always it is searching for food or a place to stay comfortably, or trying to find a partner, or defending against someone. It is always doing this. But is a human being required to do this? No. It's not that always he is searching for a khana kahe, khana kahe, khana. No. For a human, there are so many fruit-bearing trees, rain, or rivers are there, so much of grains are there. He can easily take benefit of. He need not be so much worried to fulfill one's bodily needs. Why is that special freedom or facility given to him? Prabhupada explains with the interesting analogy or a comparison. Read this. Why is
a highly placed government servant given better facilities than those of an ordinary clerk? The answer is that a highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature. Similarly, the duties human beings have to perform are higher than those of animals, who are always engaged in simply feeding their hungry stomachs.
So now all of you can relate to this, is it not? When we are working in some company, the company gives some facility. Like company gives the facility to work from home nowadays. Or the company gives the facility to, suppose one is working at an office. It gives facility, whenever you want, you can drink any amount of coffee, tea, or juice, or, fruits, or any amount of food you can go and eat. Such a nice thing, huh? You may wonder, but why is it giving? It is giving with an intent that you will stay there and work and complete your responsibility. So the expectation is the responsibilities are more, and that should be finished. For that, facilities are also given. So when there are more facilities seen, that means there is more responsibility also there. Continue reading. Yet
the modern soul killing civilization has only increased the problems of hungry stomach. When we approach a polished animal in form of modern civilized man and ask him to take interest in self-realization, he will say that simply wants to work to satisfy his stomach, and that there is no need of self-realization for a hungry man. The laws of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self-realization and his eagerness to work hard to fill his stomach, he is always threatened by unemployment.
See, this is interesting. Sometimes people say, "अरे, अभी पेट इतना भूखा है, भजन कैसे करें हम?" The life is so busy. The situation is full of starvation, so much anxiety. How can I practice spiritual life? Does this mean that those who are rich, those who have good amount of food and facilities, are they practicing spiritual life? Is practicing spiritual life dependent on material facilities? What do you think? When people say this kind of a response, have you heard this? Bhuka pet bhajan na kare Gopal, like that they say. Have you heard this? When they say this, what is the attitude behind? Prabhupada is actually speaking about it. Anybody? Why do people say like that? Is it really the case that because they are starving, they can't do spiritual life? Yes? Any guess?
No, bro, not that particular thing. But they are not satisfied in whatever they have, they want more. Therefore, that saying.
Yes. Yes. Very nice. So it is not that those who are well materially can only practice spiritually. No. There is no such criteria. Actually, the point is whether one is paid full or half full or no, he should desire to practice spiritual. And by practicing spiritual life, in fact, one's life becomes even materially comfortable. Now here Prabhupada will see, the laws of nature are so cruel that even if one says, gives excuse, oh, you see, I have to make economic progress. I can't do spiritual life now. I will practice it at a later time. But do you think laws of nature will allow him in future? No. In fact, at this moment only, they will become so cruel. When a person neglects spiritual life, Prabhupada says here, he is threatened by so many anxieties. When one takes to spiritual life, and along with that, he also practices his duties, profession, then the laws of nature, they in fact help such a person. But if one rejects spiritual life, he leaves away spiritual life and takes that, oh, now I only need to just practice my professional life. Then laws of nature become cruel. It becomes so difficult on such a person. Very interesting insight here, Prabhupada is saying. Continue. We are given this.
We are given this human form of life not to work hard like asses, swine, or dogs, but to attain the highest perfection of life. If we do not care about for self-realization, the laws of nature force us to work very hard, even though we may not want to do so. Human beings in this age have been forced to work hard like the asses and bullocks that pull carts. Some of the regions where the asuras are sent to work are revealed in these verses of Sri Ishopanishad. If a man fails to discharge his duties as human beings, he is forced to transmigrate to the Asuras planet and take birth in degraded species of life to work hard in ignorance and darkness.
Darkness. So we are seeing the third mantra which describes the losses. Remember this, loss in not following Ishvaras. The loss, first one described was in translation, that one will enter dark planets filled with ignorance, no facility, no opportunity to practice spiritual life. The second one is here, that in this life itself, a person's material life will become so difficult. Laws of nature will become so hard on him. He will have to work very hard. So Prabhupada says if a man fails to discharge his spiritual responsibility, he is forced to transmigrate to Asura planets and degrade into lower life forms. On the other side, he Prabhupada always brings out the benefit. He always compares it. Even if the discussion is about losses, Prabhupada brings what benefit you get if you practice little spiritual life. Even if you don't succeed, you get so much benefit. What benefit? Continue in the Bhagavad Gita. Read this.
In the Bhagavad Gita 6.4143, it is stated that man who enters upon the path of self-realization but does not complete the process, despite having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God, is given a chance to appear in a family of Suchi or
Shuchi. Shrimat.
the word Suchi indicates a spiritually advanced Brahmana, and Srimat indicates a Vaishya, a member of a mercantile community. So, the person who fails to achieve self realization is given a better chance in his life, in his next life, due to his sincere efforts in this life. If even a fallen candidate is given a chance to take birth in a respectable and noble family, one can hardly imagine the status of one who has achieved success. By simply attempting to realize God, one is guaranteed birth in a wealthy or aristocratic family. But those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be covered by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attached to material enjoyment, must enter into the darkest regions of health.
Confirmed
All
throughout the
confirmed throughout the Vedic literature.
Vedic
Such
literature.
materialistic
So, Prabhupada, 1 minute. So, Prabhupada is telling here that if a fallen candidate, one who doesn't succeed, he just made an attempt, he could not complete it. He attempted some competitive exam and he could not clear it. Still, this particular examination is such that you get some benefit. The spiritual life is such that you get some benefit. We don't see that, no, in this world actually. But spiritual life is such that even a fallen candidate, even who could not succeed, he gets some benefit. He gets in his next life a very good family where he can continue his practice. So Prabhupada is telling if a fallen candidate can get such a reward, imagine what will a person who succeeds in this path get. It's interesting. But those who don't even make a small attempt and even a small inclination towards there, they practically have to face this. What is that? The losses, the two losses. The first loss is you enter into hellish planets. Second is this life itself, the life will become so hard, difficult, and the laws of nature act so cruelly. So another way to explain, sometimes people take to religious life, but they have a wrong motive. Such people's destination is also hellish planet. So Prabhupada here warns of such kind of practice. Such kind of practice is called pretension. Jhuta practice, false show. Read this, Prabhu. Such materialistic asuras.
Such materialistic asuras sometimes make a show of religion, but their ultimate aim is material prosperity. The Bhagavad Gita 16.17 and 18 rebukes such men by calling them Atma Sambhavita,
Correct.
meaning that they are considered great only on the strength of deception and are empowered by the votes of the ignorant and by their own material wealth.
Well, see, deception means cheating. Is it not? So
Yes.
those who cheat, like such asuras,
Such asuras, devoid of self-realization and knowledge of Ishavasya, the Lord's universal proprietorship, are certain to enter into the darkest regions.
Darkest regions. So those who neglect to follow, they don't even make an attempt to follow, and those who follow it to get some material benefits. Material benefit in the sense they cheat actually. They show people that yeah, we are religious to get some votes, to get some rewards for some political purposes or material purposes. Such people also are having this destination. So like this particular mantra, small mantra, but it is explaining how the losses one bears in not following the Ishavasya principle. The conclusion. Can you read this? The
The
conclusion.
conclusion is that as human beings, we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of the material life into which we have been placed by the laws of nature.
Yeah, that's an interesting insight. So we should not just focus on material growth, which is always tottering. Tottering means unstable. In this world, it's temporary. But we should actually look towards spiritual progress. So that's the conclusion Prabhupada is telling here. So this particular mantra, mantra number 3, had these 5 aspects. It's a small purport, but it's very, very significant because it shows the laws. Can you read these 5 items on the screen? You're seeing?
First, who is Asura? Second, who is Atmaha? Third, highest responsibility of human life. Fourth, future of unsuccessful Bhakti Yogi. Fifth, don't make show of religiousness.
Don't make a show. Don't be like a hypocrite. Now let's quickly revise. Who is Asura? And if you recollect this definition, we are ending now in 2-3 minutes. Who is Asura? We saw in this purport, no?
Who is not following the Vedic principles?
Little more be exact.
Yeah, exactly.
One who is neglectful, or one who knows even then he is not following.
Asura I am talking about. One who knows and not following it. One who is not understanding human responsibility. You remember that statement Prabhupada said. Or one who is not worshipping Lord Krishna or following devotionals. He is Asura. Okay. And who is Atmaha?
Soul
This
killer.
word.
Killer of the soul.
Killer of the soul. Okay. What it means? What it means, killer of soul.
Using this human form for practicing devotional service rather than trying to be materialistic, which is his downfall in the hellish planets.
Correct. He ignores. He has gotten so much of facilities. What facilities he has gotten? Remember? First of all, he has gotten human body. Anything more?
He has got the human body, which is compared to the solid boat.
Very good.
The guru or the saintly teachers are compared to expert boatmen.
Very good.
The human body, which has certain facilities, special facilities, those are compared to breezes. And even after having all these things, all these facilities in a human being, if he does not fully utilize it for his self-realization, he is considered Atmaha.
Very good, very good. So very nice. Thank you. Exactly. So now, how are humans considered more responsible than animals? For this, Prabhupada gave an analogy. Who remembers this?
Just like a government servant or a officer is given facilities more than an ordinary clerk. Similarly, humans are given more facilities so that they would practice devotional service and responsibility.
Yes, that's an important thing. More facility, more responsibility. Like that. Okay, lastly, I'll end with this one last question. What happens to someone who doesn't succeed in this path of Bhakti Yoga? Anybody would like to answer who have not answered so far? Anybody would like to take it? This question.
प्रभु जी वो रिलीजियस फैमिली में बॉर्न होता है या फिर रिच फैमिली में बॉर्न होता है? कुछ नाम
Spiritual Brahmana family or Vaishya family. And in fact, Krishna says further, there is one more clause. After that, he says, one who is practicing devotional service, but he could not complete it, he gets a birth in a devotee family also. So that's a very special facility. Of course, at the end, Prabhupada also says that those who follow spiritual life for some material purpose, like political purpose or some pretension or show off, such people also will be having the destination of this mantra 3. So in mantras 1 to 3, we saw mantra 1, Ishavasya principle, and mantra 2 described gains or benefits. So I have listed here the gains or benefits. Any of you recollect which were all the gains? We are summarizing now. This whole section will complete today. What benefits? Quickly.
He is he is capable of living for 100 years. First, this thing is that if he practices these principles.
Is capable of living 100 years. Yes. What does it mean? He will not get disease or what? He will not die earlier like that.
He will not get bound in the karma cycle.
Like that you please mention. Yes, he will not be bound by the cycle of birth and death. Anything more? Anything more? There was something more. You're seeing something on the screen. Please read.
Saved from the greatest danger, even unsuccessful self-realization gives noble next life.
So I was telling 3 benefits. The first 2 benefits are clubbed in this first point. He is saved from greatest danger. He will not fall into animal life in the next body. Second benefit, he will get a human life in the next body. Unsuccessful also gets a noble next life. And third thing, we already saw, Prabhu mentioned, that he will become free from karmic bondage, karmic reactions. What losses, if he doesn't follow? Mantra 3 describe them quickly. 2 losses were there.
He will become he will be in dark ignorance and
Correct.
hellish planets.
Hellish planets, and then
He'll become the killer of the soul, Atma.
killer of the soul. Yeah, it is in that context only. Second one was actually the life in this world. You continue.
Becomes miserable.
Becomes
Life
more
in-
miserable. Was to work hard. The loss of nature becomes so cruel on him. Is it not? Yeah, like this. So when we say hellish life, it could also mean animal life, or it can mean the hellish planets, which are described in Vedic literatures. Okay. So like this, we completed this mantra 1 to 3, the first section of Ishopanishad. The second section from here begins little more inquiry. The subject becomes more deeper. So one now understood, oh, if I follow Ishavasya principle, I get so much. If I don't follow, I lose so much. I will follow. And he follows it for long. And he becomes gaining so much of benefits. His life, he becomes purified. At one point, he starts to think, Arey, who made this principle? I want to know about that person. It's such a wonderful world he has created. I want to know more about him. How can I know more about him? So now the next topic is about how to know about one who has made this principle, the Isha, the Supreme Lord. How we cannot know him and how we can truly know him. Both will be described. Okay, so that will be the subject from mantra 4 onwards. So we will see that in the next session. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Okay. We will meet next Sunday. Shri Ishopanishad ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Next lecture will be online or offline?
Online only it will be full. For this month, it is difficult for me. I have some service here again. I'll have to come online only. Okay.
Yes.
I'll confirm that thing to you.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu, for arranging all this. Hare Krishna.
Guruji, just one question. We
Yeah.
recorded this on cloud or on computer?
It has gone on cloud.
Perfect, Guruji.
Yeah, it has gone on cloud. You can ask the office devotees. Huh? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.